Of course, the last time the coalition had great momentum was really back in October 2023 when they defeated the Voice referendum. Australians overwhelmingly rejected that. You remember, about 60% voting no. And at that point, all the momentum, all the leadership was with Peter Dutton, ironically enough, addressing a cultural issue. So now we're in the last week of the election campaign and a cultural issue, specifically Welcome to Country, is back centre stage, courtesy of those people who booed the Welcome to Country at Melbourne's Anzac Day service last week. Now, those who booed were apparently neo-Nazis, but there were many people who didn't boo but yet share the same sentiments that Welcome to Country is overdone and we have far too much of it, not least among those people, former Prime Minister Tony Abbott.
And it's become, if you like, an exercise in virtue signalling. It's become a badge of political correctness. It's become a political statement, a bit like wearing masks became a political statement during the pandemic. If you weren't an enthusiast for masks, you weren't taking the pandemic seriously enough.
Now, if you're wondering, I'm not sure, maybe it's not overdone, maybe it's okay. I mean, if you were watching MasterChef last night, can you believe it? They had an acknowledgement of country at the beginning of a reality TV cooking show.
I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which this competition takes place and pay our respects to the elders past and present. This is a place that has always been rich in food and culture.
At this rate, next year there'll be a Welcome to Country before Married at First Sight begins, Liz. Tony Abbott is absolutely right. This thing is way overdone. Could this help Peter Dutton that it's suddenly front and centre headline news in the last week of the campaign? This is when he was strongest, when he was rejecting division and separating Australians by race.
Yeah, but the Libs seem to have left this alone since the referendum was won in their favour. They haven't been beating that drum, and I think that's probably a good thing. They more just say, as we do, the people of Australia have spoken. And as you know, I have said many times on this show, if you're a regular watcher, when you hear a Welcome to Country, boo. I've said I do it all the time. I do it in packed theatres. I do it on packed planes, because that is one way for the average person like myself to push back on what Tony Abbott has rightly called this woke virtue signalling. The elites want to shove it down our throats. It doesn't matter what you're sat at these days. It could be an internal office meeting and you will be greeted with a Welcome to Country. You've got to let your disapproval be known. And it wasn't just Nazis who booed on that day. And I do believe that this coming back into light on Anzac Day is very poignant because of all the days and of all the ceremonies. It is the most disgustingly inappropriate thing to be doing at these ceremonies. So I'm with the booers on this one, not the Nazis, obviously, but everybody else, and they were large in number, who booed that day, because it is a slap in the face of our diggers who did not fight for a country that they were a guest of so that we could all be guests in the succeeding decades, for crying out loud. But anyway, Abbott's totally right. It is empty virtue signalling, as we've said, ad nauseum. I mean, what are you going to do? Give the land back? No. But we'll give you guys a shout out. That's really all it is, Joe. And the more people who simply acknowledge that, whether it's booing or whatever you choose to do, the better, because it's only until Aussies stand up and say, we said no, cut this junk out, nothing's going to happen. It'll continue.
Yeah, well, I think booing at an Anzac Day dawn service is absolutely disgraceful and far more disgraceful.
What they were booing, that was
it doesn't matter. You do not do
Joe.
that. It's incredibly disrespectful and it's
disagree.
disgusting behaviour. And if
Yes,
the idea,
Welcome to
the idea
Country
that you
was
would,
disgraceful.
and the idea
It was
that
disgusting
the idea that, and it was an organised protest. The crowd didn't spontaneously start booing, and the idea that you care so much about the sanctity of the dawn service that you would actually disrupt it and interrupt it with boos.
We are talking about
a
who dared to do do a welcome
We are
to
talking
country.
about.
This is
Well,
not your land.
that is what the
While we were
organisers decided.
recognising our fallen.
That is what the
That was
organisers, who was the
shameful.
RSL and the representatives of the veteran community, that was a decision that they made, and it was up to them. If people don't like it, they can complain, they can write a letter, they can talk to the media, they can have discussions like we do here, they can go on social media.
Fat
But
load of good
but
that does.
to boo a commemoration of the war dead is a disgusting
not what
and
they were
disgraceful
booing.
act.
That is not what they were
That is what the
booing.
dawn service is. The dawn service is a commemoration. It is a sacred rite that commemorates those who gave their lives
For a country
in
that
service
they were
of
supposedly
Australia.
guests in.
Well, until we can exhume their bodies and do a straw poll of them, I think we should actually pay respect to the services that are there to commemorate them.
They'd
And
be
if people,
booing.
if people
They'd be
have,
booing.
I don't know if you can speak on behalf of the thousands of people who have died for Australia, but if people want to voice their opinions about that, if they want to say whatever they want to say, I have no problem with that. I don't disagree with a lot of what Tony Abbott and others have said about the welcome to country and the acknowledgement of country, which are two different things that people seem to get confused and use interchangeably, but whatever. I think they both can be overused. But to do what was done at that dawn service is a disgraceful, un-Australian, despicable act.
Agree to disagree.